Wednesday, after school, every Wednesday we wear red.
What it took was our relationships with our coworkers, building strategic relationships with the community members, right?
And the goal is to stop an active ICE raid.
Our working conditions are their learning conditions, right? And so when we're fighting for better working conditions, we're fighting for better learning conditions for them too.
Now next is Tariq from Central Illinois and discuss the graduate student union strike.
All right, thanks. Talked a little bit about some of the sort of macro structural issues that led to this strike wave that we saw last spring. And the GEO strike, that's the graduate employees strike at the University of Illinois, was very much part of that strike wave. So we were on strike at the same time that the West Virginia teachers were on strike. And we were in solidarity with them, and we were in contact with them throughout our strikes, as well as with several other unions. So that's, you know, the union movement. You know, any labor union that's worth a damn, it sees itself as part of a larger labor movement and not just as its own thing. And so, you know, you got to be connected to other people's struggles, you know, not just in your own industry, but even across industries. And so, Graduate Employees Organization, we've been doing that. So, you know, the steel workers were locked out, and we were out there with them and giving them material support throughout their strike and things like that. So we were kind of part of that strike wave we saw. So I want to talk a little bit about, so what does that look like kind of on the micro level then? So we've heard sort of on the macro level and sort of these major social forces. And in education particularly, we're seeing, you know, some people call it the neoliberalization of education. Other people just call it capitalism. You know, whatever you want to call it, we're seeing, you know, funding to public education is being cut all over the country. And that's having all kinds of negative effects, and higher education is not exempt from that. So every 5 years, our union renegotiates our contract with the university administration. I think they made it like 5 years because they think like that'll be a fresh new crop of grad student workers, and they won't remember the last struggles, and we'll be able to like exploit them, right? So they struck back in 2009 and they won. So a lot of what we have now is because of them. Then in 2012, 3 years later, they had a contract negotiation, and all they had to do was threaten a strike. And admin backed off immediately. So now 5 years later, it was 2017, was another contract negotiation year is coming up, and we had a new crop of administrators. I don't know, some of you might follow like the circus that University of Illinois is, but they had fired Professor Steven Salaita, a very amazing Palestinian scholar, and they fired him because Zionists pressured the university. They said, we don't like this guy, and you know, all of the sort of Zionist tropes that they always use to demonize Palestinians, they used against him, and so they fired him. Just from all this pressure from politicians and rich donors. And there was a huge backlash from the entire university community, and a bunch of our university administrators ended up resigning over that. And so we had a whole new crop of administrators, and they didn't remember what it was like to get their asses kicked by a union, because they weren't there then. So we had to teach them what it's like to get your ass kicked by a union, right? Now, we didn't want to go on strike like, most of us, so the kind of work that we do is mostly TAs, teaching assistants, graduate assistants, or instructors. So I've been an instructor for the past couple of years. We're mostly teaching students. We love our students. We didn't want to go on strike. We like our work. But the contract that they were offering us was just regressive. It was worse than the contracts before. And one of the things that sort of got graduate students really angry was they wanted to take away tuition waivers. So, for those of you who aren't in grad school, like graduate student employees don't get paid very well, but they give you a tuition waiver, and they say, well, that's part of the way we pay you is you don't have to pay tuition. And so even though we're not paying you that much, you don't have to pay tuition, so it's kind of like a good deal for you. But, because the education cuts, they're constantly having to find new ways to raise money for the university. And the administrators, they love the phrase revenue-generating MA programs. So, they want to make money. How are we going to make money off grad students if we're giving them all tuition waivers? Well, if you take away tuition waivers, what does that mean? It means the only people that can get MA and PhDs are the children of the rich, because working class folks can't afford graduate school tuition. The only reason working class people can get those degrees is because we work for the university while we're working on our degrees, and we get that tuition waiver. So basically, they were making it so a huge portion of our graduate student employees would not be able to do that. And the purpose of that, it was to bust up our union. That would take out, if they took away the tuition waivers, that would take a huge chunk of our membership out of the bargaining unit, and it would totally weaken our union. Right now, we're one of probably the strongest union on campus. We also have a non-tenure faculty union, which went on strike a couple years ago and won. And we have some of the staff are also unionized under SEIU as well as AFSCME. So we have a number of unions on campus, and the graduate student union is the most militant. Partly because of our positionality, we're able to take risks that maybe certain staff members aren't positioned to be able to take the same kinds of risks that we can take. And so they're always trying to bust up our union. So we tried everything we could to try to avoid a strike. So in the lead up, as contract negotiations were sort of disintegrating, we started to escalate our tactics a little bit to let them know that we're serious. So we started doing rallies, and we did a little sort of mini occupation of this administration building. You can see pictured here, and you can see strike authorization vote. So then we started talking about, okay, what does it take for us if we have to go on strike? So we have to have, a major chunk of our bargaining unit has to want to go on strike. So we took a strike authorization vote, and 93% of our bargaining unit voted in favor of strike authorization. So this wasn't a strike yet. This was just letting admin know that if you don't change your tune, we are ready to strike, and we have the go-ahead from our membership to do so, and this is all legal. So there's all kinds of legal hoops you got to jump through. It's all these labor laws that supposedly are there to help labor, but really just tie our hands behind our backs. So anyway, we wanted to avoid a strike. They left us no choice. They were not backing off. They didn't take us seriously. So one of the things we were rallying around was contract negotiations. We were getting huge numbers to show up to contract negotiations. We wanted to look their negotiators in the eye, right? Look at my children in the eye when you're trying to take away their health care, right? That's what we were doing. And so they moved the contract negotiations to some faraway building way out on the outskirts where they knew students couldn't get to, and had it really early in the morning, thinking nobody's gonna wake up and go far the hell away in the snow. But we did. We woke up hell of early. We went far away in the snow every single day. We brought our children with us. They kicked us out of the building. They started threatening the police on us. And so we just stood outside in the freezing cold every day, letting them know we are serious. After about a week of this going on, and we started, getting serious about striking, right? Going on strike's not just going out and holding a sign and having fun. You got to have provisions and stuff, people got to, stay hydrated on the picket lines, right? And we also had a strike fund. So certain people, maybe their departments, some departments were kind of sympathetic. My department, history, was pretty sympathetic to our demands. Other departments, some of the business people and stuff, their department guys are a bunch of assholes. They're going to cut their pay if they don't show up, right? And so we had a strike fund. So going on strike, it doesn't mean that you don't eat. And then Monday, February 26th, we said, that's it. Nobody show up. Nobody do any work. And we just classrooms were empty. And this was sort of the official beginning of the strike. The administration put out this mass mail saying that, everything is going smoothly. Don't worry. There was only minimal disruption today, so I just want to show you some pictures of what minimal disruption looks like. So these are empty classrooms, and you can see the picketers through some of the windows in couple of those pictures. Classes were shut down, universities thrown into disarray, and this went on for 2 weeks. Longest strike in UIUC history. One of the things that made us be able to do this was there was a lot of solidarity from other unions and organizations. This is just a couple out of hundreds of examples. So, we had the FAU in Germany sending out pictures of support. We had other GEOs at other universities sending out support. We had SEIU guys coming out to our picket lines. We had the people who do the maintenance work on the buildings at school walking with us on our picket lines. So we had solidarity from all over the country, and even internationally. And so that really gave a lot of power to what we were doing. And that's so necessary for, we all got to stick together. Like when we're doing this, in these labor struggles, we all got to stick together across borders, across, not just across state lines, across industries, because a blow against one union over here is a blow against the whole union movement. And right now the unions are getting their asses kicked, and we're starting to turn the tables on that, and we got to keep turning the tables on that. I didn't want to forget this little bit when Chancellor Cangelaris sent out a mass mail telling the undergrads to call the cops on us, right? We're the graduate employees, we're the people that teach the classes, and he's telling our students to call the police on us, right? That backfired on him. The undergrad students like us, right? For the most part. I mean, there's a few right-wing, fascist type, little twerps, but most of the students like us, right? I mean, we got Jocelyn over here was one of the undergrads organizing. Sorry to pick you out. I mean, organizing undergraduate solidarity with the unions. There was undergraduates with us on the line, right? And then that pissed off the other faculty members. So the Campus Faculty Association, which represents tenured faculty, the faculty with the most secure jobs, they were came out in support with us, and they came out on the lines with us, and they were like, "How dare you tell students to call the police on their own instructors?" So there was a lot of hostility against the administration from undergraduates, graduate students, staff, and faculty, right? And so just to give you kind of an idea of what's going on. So that's one of my children, and they had to go to school that day, so they couldn't come out on the picket line, but they woke up early and they said, "I made you this sign to take with you to the strike today." So they found a stick in the backyard. So I did, I took that sign on the picket line with me that day, and never cross a picket line, right? You know what happens to scabs? Some scabs, these scumbags, some people were still trying to hold their classes. Across our picket lines, no. They tried to hold a class in Altgeld Hall. You know who John Altgeld is? He was the Illinois governor that pardoned the remaining Haymarket defendants. So he has a special place in the labor movement. And we have a building on campus named for him, Altgeld Hall. They started trying to, we couldn't have picket lines on every single building at all times. We don't have enough people for that. So we didn't have a picket line on Altgeld Hall for an hour. And they immediately started trying to sneak classes into that building. Nah, we circled that building. We got everybody from all the picket lines. We surrounded Altgeld Hall and just made it impossible for them to hold class, and we shut those classes down. Man, don't be a scab. All right. Next one. So yeah, it's from Strike Day 10. That's me and my daughter. She has she's been on a lot of picket lines in her time, and she always wants to be in the front. So anyway, I just want to show you what some of the it looked like out there. So here's a couple more pictures of the picket lines, and then as the strike went on and on, president, the chancellor, the provost, they all skipped town. I think the chancellor went to South Africa or something. He wasn't even in the country. So the campus is in crisis. It's in chaos. Classes are not able to be held. Undergrads don't know what to do. The departments are why is this strike still dragging on? The last strike was only 1 or 2 days. And these guys skipped town, right? These guys who'd been nothing but contemptuous of us didn't think that we were the real deal, and they like skipped town, which made it easy to occupy their offices. So, right, we occupied the president's office, the provost's office, the chancellor's office. This is from one of the buildings. There was another occupation going on in another building that one of our members two of our members actually were involved in. Not only did this like sort of bring a little bit of chaos to admin, also Campus Faculty Association came out and like joined us in the occupations. But it also highlighted the fact that like, where's the university's leadership? Why aren't they here while the campus is in crisis? Then we went to the president's mansion. He has a mansion. We went to his front yard and just like raised a little bit of ruckus, and that also highlighted the fact that like, president's not here. We can do whatever the hell we want in his front yard. He's not in town. This is when I knew like, okay, we're really starting to generate power. You're generating power when Democrats show up to try to leech off of what you're doing. And so pictured here, you have like the two guys who at the time were competing for the Democratic nomination in the governor primary. And so like they were coming out to our picket lines. Neither of these bastards has ever had a damn thing to do with our union. They've never done anything to help us do anything. But now that we're generating power, they're out there for the photo op. Hey, I'm with the GEO. No, you're not. Get the hell out of here. We didn't give them a mic. We didn't give any of them a mic, okay? You can walk with us on our picket line, but, whatever. Yeah. The richest one won the primary. So that everybody's like, he's going to win because he's richer than, our governor now what's his name, Bruce Rauner. They're like, he can beat Bruce Rauner because he's more rich than him. This is U.S. politics, okay? Oh, yeah, okay. So anyway, long story short, so we won the strikes. We were able to protect the tuition waivers to keep that language in our contract. So everybody has tuition waivers. We're able to get a little bit of a raise for our lowest paid workers. But I'd say it was a mixed victory because I think there was a lot more things there's a lot that we still don't have. Like, we still don't have decent health care. We still don't have, like, any help with child care. And so I don't want to be like, hooray, we won, like, victory. Like, there's always more to fight for. So we protected the tuition waivers. We kept them from giving us a regressive contract. But I wouldn't call it a knockout punch, right? We're still dealing with the neoliberalization of the university, and we still got to keep organizing. Thanks.